Please, someone help me.
You ever see someone standing on the side of the highway at midnight and think, ain't no way this ends normal? Picture this. Cold rain, those heavy southern drops that slap the pavement like they're mad too. Headlights streaking past on I-20 just outside Atlanta. It's the kind of night where even the stray dogs stay under the porch. And there she is. A black woman, maybe late 20s, early 30s, belly round and hard under an oversized hoodie. One hand on her stomach, one hand gripping a torn Walmart duffel bag that looks way too light to be her whole life. Her name is Alana Brooks. 8 months pregnant, no car, no house, no husband, no family, just a bus ticket crumpled in her pocket, a phone at 3% battery, and the sound of thunder rolling like somebody upstairs is dragging furniture. Alana is walking along the edge of the guardrail because the last bus already left and the Uber canceled when they saw where she was going. Her shoes are soaked. Her back is screaming, and that baby inside her is kicking like, "Ma'am, what are we doing?" She stops under a flickering streetlight beneath an overpass to catch her breath. And that's when she sees it. At first, she thinks it's trash. Just another beaten-up black duffel bag tossed near the concrete pillar, half hidden behind a busted orange traffic cone and an empty Hennessy bottle, but something about it looks wrong. Too clean, too new, still zipped. She glances around. No one. Just the hum of the highway and a shopping cart rattling in the wind. Curiosity is a dangerous thing. So is desperation. Alana walks over, kneels slowly, because again, 8 months pregnant, nothing is slow without a soundtrack, and pulls the zipper. The smell of money hits her before her eyes fully register it. Stacks. Neat bricks of $100 bills, wrapped tight in plastic, packed from end to end. Her breath catches. She looks around again, like the bag might belong to the darkness. "This gotta be a joke," she whispers. But it's not. Because you don't joke with $5 million in cash sitting in a duffel bag under a bridge in the rain. 3 days ago, she was standing in her in-laws' foyer, belly out, suitcase in hand, being called trash and a mistake and not part of this family. Tonight, the same God who watched her get put out in front of the neighbors has her staring at more money than anyone in that fancy brick house has ever seen in real life. Is it a blessing? A trap? Somebody's dirty money? Or the kind of miracle that shows up once in a lifetime and asks, "So what you gonna do now?" Stay with this story till the end, because the way this bag connects back to the very people who threw her out of their house. Even she couldn't make that up if she tried. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you, and if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Before we talk about what Alana did with that bag, you gotta understand what they did to her first. 3 days earlier, she wasn't under a bridge. She was in a guest room that smelled like expensive candles and cold judgment. She was married, on paper, to Evan Brooks, the good son from a respected black and white blended family in the suburbs. His mama, Linda, was white, PTA president, always in pearls. His daddy, Reggie, was black, ex-military, neat beard, ironed everything. The Brooks family Christmas cards looked like they should be in a banking commercial. From the outside, they looked perfect. On the inside, there were rules. Rules about how a wife should talk, rules about what she should wear, rules about how she should act grateful to marry into a family like theirs. Alana broke exactly one rule. She believed for better or worse meant for better or worse. They believed it meant for better, and if worse shows up, that's your fault. So ask yourself as you keep listening, how does a woman go from being daughter-in-law to stranger in one ugly evening? Why did her own husband stand there and let them throw her out with a baby on the way? And what kind of story connects a fancy gated community to a duffel bag of $5 million under an overpass? Because somewhere between that front door and that highway, there's a trail of secrets, fraud, fake status, and a decision one old man made before he died that stitched all of this together. And the biggest question of all? When life literally drops $5 million at your swollen feet, do you grab it and run? Or do you ask, whose blood is on this money? Let's rewind. Alana grew up on the south side of Decatur, in an apartment complex where everybody knew everybody and the ice cream truck still took cash. Her mama, Miss Joyce, worked night shifts as a nursing assistant and day shifts praying over that girl's future. Alana wasn't wild. She wasn't perfect either. She was the kind of quiet smart that doesn't always show up on report cards but shows up when bills are due and somebody has to figure out how to stretch spaghetti for 3 days. She met Evan at a community college business class. He walked in late with my dad and signed the checks here, a kind of swagger, smelling like designer cologne and a new car. She noticed him. He noticed her notebook, organized, highlighted, little sticky notes everywhere. "Hey," he said, sliding into the empty seat next to her. "You look like you actually understand this stuff." She rolled her eyes but smiled. "Somebody in here got a pass," she said. He laughed. That easy laugh that makes you forget everything else for a second. They started studying together. Studying turned into late-night Waffle House runs. Waffle House turned into you should meet my family. The first time, Alana pulled up to the Brooks house. She thought they'd given her the wrong address. Brick 2-story, perfect lawn, actual porch swing, wind chimes, one of those quiet cul-de-sacs where folks jog at 6 in the morning on purpose. Linda opened the door. Blonde bob, thin gold bracelet, a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "You must be Alana," she said, looking her up and down so fast you'd miss it if you weren't paying attention. "Yes, ma'am," Alana said, smoothing her thrift store dress. Linda's smile tightened. "Evan didn't tell me you were local. You know when local is not about geography." Reggie, on the other hand, clapped her on the shoulder like they'd been friends for years. "Any friend of my boy who can get him to open a textbook is welcome here," he boomed. They sat around the table. Linda kept asking polite rude questions. "What do your parents do?" "Oh, just your mom? And your dad isn't in the picture? And you grew up where again?" Alana answered each one calmly, feeling her stomach twist, but she told herself it's just nerves. She'll warm up. That's your future mother-in-law. Just be respectful. Spoiler: Linda did not warm up. Fast forward 2 years. Evan proposed with a modest ring and a very big speech. "I don't care what anybody says," he told her. "You're my person. I got you." Alana believed him. They got married at a small church. Her side of the aisle was loud. Aunties in big hats, cousins taking selfies, kids running up and down with juice pouches. The Brooks side was controlled. Smiles for the photos. Whispers behind napkins. After the wedding, Linda made her first big move. "We don't want you kids struggling," she said sweetly. "Why don't y'all move into the guest suite here? Save some money, get on your feet. Our home is your home." That phrase should come with a warning label. At first, it seemed like a blessing. No rent, big kitchen, laundry that didn't require a roll of quarters and a prayer. But the price tag was invisible. Linda had opinions about everything. How Alana folded towels. What seasoning she used. Why did she talk so loud on the phone with her mama? Why was she still working nights at the clinic when Evan is the provider? "You don't want people thinking you're using my son," Linda would say, stirring her tea. "Men need to feel needed." What she meant was depend on us. That way we own you. Reggie stayed mostly neutral. He'd give Alana a wink sometimes, slide her an extra $50 for gas and say, "Don't let her get in your head, kid." But the house had rules. They weren't written on paper. They were written in eye rolls and tight smiles and little sighs whenever Alana didn't do things the Brooks way. Now here's what you need to understand about living under someone else's roof, even when they smile and say it's for your own good. Every favor comes with invisible strings. Every kindness has a price you don't see until it's too late to say no. After a long stretch of trying, late-night tears, and one miscarriage that almost broke her. Alana found out she was pregnant. She stared at the little plus sign like it was a sunrise. She told Evan first. He picked her up and spun her around right there in the tiny upstairs hallway. "Baby, I told you, this is our year." Then they told his parents. Reggie grabbed her in a bear hug. "My grandbaby," he shouted, eyes wet. Linda smiled politely and said, "Well, it's sooner than I would have planned, but a child is always a blessing." Then the rules got stricter. No spicy food in her kitchen. No gospel music too loud on Saturday mornings. No prenatal appointments without letting Linda review the doctor first. "You know, our family has standards," she'd say, looking at Alana's belly, not her face. "This baby carries the Brooks name. We can't have any complications." Complications. Interesting word from a woman with that much control and that little warmth. Think about that for a second. How would you feel if someone treated your unborn child like a project that needed quality control? Would you stay quiet? Would you speak up? Or would you do what Alana did and swallow it all down because you had nowhere else to go? As the pregnancy progressed, Evan started changing too. It was subtle at first. More nights working late. More weekends out with the guys. More comments like, "Mom's just trying to help. Why do you always make everything a problem?" Alana tried to ignore the whispers she heard when she walked into rooms. "She's just not our kind of person." Evan always had a savior complex. She trapped him with that baby. She focused on the baby instead. She worked part-time at the clinic until her feet swelled like balloons. She saved every extra dollar in a little envelope in her top drawer because something in her spirit just did not trust that house. Then one day, the envelope disappeared. "Oh, I thought that was housekeeping money," Linda said, sipping coffee. "You really shouldn't leave cash lying around, dear. It looks tacky. Tacky. Like being poor was a fashion choice." Alana went upstairs and cried into a towel so quietly even the walls wouldn't hear. Still, she stayed. Because where was she gonna go at 7 months? Pregnant with no savings and a husband that kept saying, "Babe, just chill. My parents know what they're doing." She told herself, as soon as this baby is born, "I'm getting us our own place. I don't care if it's a one-bedroom over a nail shop. We're leaving." But life had other plans. Because what Alana didn't know was that while she was counting down the days until freedom, Linda was counting down the days until she could get rid of her for good. And Evan? He'd already made his choice. He just hadn't told her yet. It started with an argument about lasagna. That's how petty the beginning of the end can be. Saturday night. Family dinner. Linda invited some friends from church. Fancy, polite folks with quiet laughter and loud jewelry. Alana had spent the day on swollen feet, cooking. Her lasagna. Her recipe. The one Miss Joyce taught her, layered with love and extra cheese because life is hard enough. They sit down. Linda takes one bite, smiles thinly. "It's different," she says. "We usually use my mother's recipe. But I guess this is more down home." One of the church ladies laughs a little too hard. Alana feels her cheeks burn, but she smiles. "Well, maybe next time we can mix the two," she says. "Her recipe, my seasoning. Make a new tradition." Evan snorts. "Here you go. Always trying to change something," he mutters under his breath. Alana hears it. So does everybody else. Have you ever been humiliated in front of people you barely know by the person who's supposed to protect you? Have you ever felt your face get hot while everyone pretends they didn't hear what just happened? That's where Alana was. Pregnant, exhausted, and being mocked over food she cooked with her own 2 hands. Later, in their room, the argument explodes. "You could have had my back," she says. "Just once. Just say, 'Mom, the food is fine. Why are you always so sensitive?'" He shoots back. "You embarrass me in front of my family and then play victim." "I embarrass you." She laughs, bitter. "I'm the one walking on eggshells in a house I clean every day." Words fly. Years of swallowed disrespect all come up at once. Finally, Evan says the thing you can't say. "My mom was right. You were never on our level. I should have married someone who actually fits into this family. Silence. That hurt worse than contractions. She picks up her overnight bag, the one she's been quietly stocking with a few baby clothes and a copy of her medical records, just in case. You mean your mom's family? She says softly. Not mine. I hear you. She goes downstairs, belly first, overnight bag in hand. In the living room, Linda and Reggie are watching TV. Linda doesn't even mute the volume. Going somewhere, dear? She asks. I need some air, Alana says. And some space. Linda stands up, folds her arms. Actually, she says, this might be the right time to talk about space. What happens next feels like a bad play. Linda starts listing all the ways Alana has disrespected this house. How she refuses to accept guidance. How she is creating stress that is not good for the baby or the Brooks' reputation. Then, she says the sentence that turns the night from argument to exile. This arrangement is no longer working. You'll need to find somewhere else to stay before the baby comes. Reggie shifts uncomfortably. Linda, now, he starts. No, Reggie, she snaps. We warned her. We set expectations. I'm not watching my son's life get ruined because he picked someone who doesn't know how to act. Alana looks at Evan, waiting for him to say something. Anything. He looks away. Maybe it's best if you stay with your mom for a while, he mutters. Until things cool down. My mom lives in a one-bedroom, Alana says slowly. And she's in a rehab facility after her surgery. You know that. Linda lifts her chin. Well, you're a grown woman. I'm sure you'll figure it out. You're resilient. There it is again. People breaking your back and complimenting your strength. Let me ask you something. If someone told you to leave their house at 8 months pregnant with nowhere to go, would you beg? Would you fight? Would you call the police? Or would you do what most women do when they're too tired and too hurt to fight anymore, just leave quietly? Alana feels something inside her finally snap. You're really kicking me out, she says. At 8 months pregnant, with nowhere to go. Linda doesn't blink. This is about boundaries, she says. We have standards. Reggie tries one more time. We can at least give her a little money, help her get a hotel for a few nights. Linda shoots him a look that could curdle milk. We are not paying for her to run around town making us look foolish, she hisses. She picks up Alana's overnight bag, shoves it toward her. You have until tomorrow afternoon to gather your things. After that, we'll pack them up for you. Alana's heart is pounding. The baby shifts, like even the child is offended. She looks at Evan. Say something, she whispers. He shrugs, eyes on the floor. I can't go against my mom like that, he says. You know how she gets. Right there, in front of the flat-screen TV, Alana realizes something important. She is married to a son, not a husband. And that realization hits differently when you're carrying his child and he's choosing his mother's comfort over your survival. Tomorrow afternoon never comes. Because Linda doesn't wait. Early the next morning, while Alana is still sleeping, she hears banging on the bedroom door. Alana, Uber is here. Confused, she opens the door. Her suitcase and 2 trash bags of clothes are stacked neatly in the hallway. Your ride to the bus station, Linda says crisply. Reggie booked it. We thought it best you go today. Less awkwardness. Evan is nowhere to be seen. Alana looks at the bags, the stairs, her swollen feet. You're really doing this, she says. Linda smiles, soft and deadly. You'll be fine. Women like you always land somewhere. She walks down those stairs in slow motion, belly leading, heartbreaking. The neighbor's blinds twitch. She steps out onto the manicured lawn. Rain clouds gathering. Of course. She gets into the Uber with her suitcase, her trash bags, and a baby that didn't ask for any of this. As the car pulls away, she looks back at the house. Linda is standing in the doorway, arms crossed. Reggie is behind her, eyes sad, hands in his pockets. Evan? Not even at the window. Now think about that image for a second. A pregnant woman being escorted off the property like she's trespassing. The man who promised to love her can't even look out the window. And the woman who smiled in all those Christmas cards is standing there like she just took out the trash. And that's how a pregnant wife ends up at a Greyhound station with $43 in her account, a bus ticket she can barely afford, and no idea that in 3 days, she'll be standing under a bridge with $5 million at her feet. If this story has your heart racing, comment, "I'm still watching." Let's see who's truly following till the end. The Greyhound station is not kind to pregnant women. Fluorescent lights, sticky floors, that smell of old coffee and new regret. Alana spends her last few dollars on a locker and a turkey sandwich that tastes like sadness. She calls Miss Joyce at the rehab center. "Mama, don't freak out," she starts. Miss Joyce does, in fact, freak out. "They put you out? With my grandbaby? Put the nurse on the phone right now. I'm discharging myself." "Mama, you can barely walk without help," Alana says, trying not to cry. "I'll figure it out. I just need a couple days to find somewhere cheap to stay." Her mother prays over the phone, voice trembling. "God, I don't know what you're doing, but you better be doing something." That night, Alana tries to sleep on a plastic chair. Her lower back screams. Her ankles swell. Every time she closes her eyes, she sees that front door slamming. She sees Linda's smile. She sees Evan's back turned. She hears those words over and over. "You were never on our level. Women, like you always land somewhere." She wonders if they're sleeping peacefully in that big house, while she's here folded up like a lawn chair, 8 months pregnant, wondering if her baby can feel her fear. Day 2. She checks into a rundown weekly motel with the last of her money, stained carpet, television bolted to the dresser, a lock that feels more symbolic than effective. She sits on the edge of the bed and talks to her belly. "I'm sorry, baby," she whispers. "I promise it won't always be like this." The baby kicks like, "We gonna hold you to that." Have you ever had to make promises you weren't sure you could keep? Have you ever had to lie to yourself just to get through the next hour? That's where Alana is. Not hopeless yet, but close. Real close. Alana spends the next 2 days applying for anything she can find on her dying phone. Receptionist, caregiver, cashier. Everybody says the same thing. "Are you expecting? So you'd need time off soon. We're really looking for someone who can start fully and commit long-term." Translation: we're not saying no because you're pregnant. We're just saying no, and you can do the math. She walks back to the motel one afternoon, feet aching, credit at the front desk already on thin ice. Every step feels heavier than the last. Every rejection feels like confirmation of what Linda said. "You don't belong here. You're not good enough. You never were." She passes a church on the corner. The sign out front says, "When they throw you out, God is making room." She actually laughs out loud. "Okay, Lord," she says, looking up. "What room?" Because it's looking like the only thing making room is my jeans. She goes inside anyway. It's empty. Midday. Smell of old wood and cheap air freshener. She sits in the last pew, hands on her belly. "God, I don't need a mansion," she whispers. "I just need a safe place for this baby. Somewhere nobody can put me out again." She sits there in the quiet, eyes closed, heart tired. No voice answers. No angel appears. No miracle drops from the ceiling. Just silence. The kind that makes you wonder if anybody's listening at all. When she leaves, the problem is still the same. No money, no home, no plan. But something in her is a little less numb. Maybe it's stubbornness. Maybe it's faith. Maybe it's just that mama instinct that won't let you quit even when quitting makes sense. She doesn't know yet. She just knows she's still walking. Back at the motel, the manager knocks. "Miss Brooks?" he says, not unkindly. "Check out in 2 hours if you don't have payment for another night." She nods, throat tight. "Okay, I'll be out." She packs her things. It doesn't take long. Life shrinks quickly when people take and call it help. 2 trash bags. 1 suitcase. A purse with a dead phone and $3 in change. That's it. That's what 6 years of marriage, 2 years of college, and a lifetime of trying to do right looks like when it all falls apart. She looks at the time. The bus doesn't leave until late. She can't sit in that room and watch the clock, so she walks. She walks past the motel, past the gas station, past the liquor store with the bars on the windows, toward the highway where the city blurs into concrete and noise. Each step feels like a question. What did I do wrong? Was I really that unworthy? Is this what family means? Conditions and contracts and front porches you can be pushed off of. Her back spasms, her feet throb, but she keeps walking, because sometimes motion is the only thing standing between you and collapse. The rain starts slowly, then picks up. Cold drops hitting her face, soaking through her cheap jacket, turning the sidewalk slick. She should stop. She should find shelter. But her body just keeps moving, like it doesn't trust stillness anymore. Like if she stops, she'll realize how bad things really are and won't be able to start again. She ducks under an overpass to get out of the rain. And that's where we find her again. Under the bridge, pregnant, abandoned, standing over a bag full of money. But before we get to what she does next, let me ask you something. If you were in her position, broke, homeless, 8 months pregnant, and you found $5 million in cash under a bridge, what would you do? Would you take it? Would you turn it in? Would you look around to see if somebody was watching? Would you think it's a trap? A test? Or would you think, finally something went right? Keep that answer in your head, because what Alana does next will either make you respect her or question everything you thought you knew about survival. We're back under the overpass. Alana is staring at the open bag like it might bite her. All she has ever known is not enough. Not enough money. Not enough space. Not enough respect. Now, in front of her, is more than enough. Too much. Her heart is racing. This is drug money, she whispers. Has to be. Or a setup. Or something criminal. Normal people don't just leave $5 million in a bag by exit 63. She looks around. Nothing but the sound of the rain and cars above. She could pick it up, walk away, disappear. It's tempting. The kind of temptation that makes your palms sweat. She reaches down to touch one of the bricks of cash and sees something tucked into the side pocket of the duffel. A white envelope. No name on the outside. Just a little smudge where somebody's thumb smeared ink. Her heart pounds harder. Because if horror movies have taught us anything, it's don't touch the mysterious envelope. She opens it anyway. Inside is a letter, folded 3 times. The handwriting is messy but careful. Older. Blue ink. She starts to read. If you're reading this, you must be as desperate as I was when I hid this. Okay, so now we're fully in a movie. She leans against the concrete pillar, reading. My name won't mean anything to you. I was a bookkeeper for some very powerful, very crooked men in this city. For years, I watched them cheat, lie, and ruin people's lives while calling it business. I made a choice I'm not proud of. I skimmed. A little at first. Then more. Call it revenge. Call it survival. Call it sin. All I know is, one day I realized I had enough set aside to disappear, start over, and maybe finally sleep at night. Alana glances at the bag. Her hands are shaking. Her mind is trying to process what she's reading. Some stranger, some dead bookkeeper, left this here, not by accident, on purpose. I was on my way out of town with this money when my heart started acting up. The doctor said it was stress. I know better. It was everything catching up with me. If I don't make it, and I can feel that day coming soon, I don't want this money going back to the men who stole it in the first place. So if you found this, I need you to do 2 things. Don't be stupid. Don't flash it. Don't trust anybody with it. Don't waste it. This isn't a blessing for bottle service and Instagram. This is blood money. Turn it into something that helps people who've been stepped on their whole lives. I did wrong. Maybe you can do it right. If you're brave, and not everybody is, there's one more thing you can do. In the second pocket of this bag is a USB drive. On it are documents, accounts, transactions, names. If this ever got to the authorities, some powerful people would fall. I was too scared to use it. Maybe you won't be. Either way, if life ever made you feel worthless, I hope this helps you remember that somebody out there believed a stranger like you could do something good. Signed, M. She pulls the USB out of the side pocket with shaking hands. So now it's not just money. It's evidence. It's a decision. Think about that for a second. She's standing under a bridge, pregnant, homeless, with $5 million in one hand and a USB drive that could bring down powerful people in the other. If she takes this to the police, they might seize the cash as evidence. She could end up with nothing but thank you for your cooperation. If she keeps it and says nothing, she's living on money tied to danger and karma. What would you do? She looks down at her belly. What do you think, little one? She whispers. We criminals or whistleblowers? The baby kicks. Typical. No clear answer. Then her phone buzzes. Unknown number. She almost ignores it, but something makes her swipe. Hello? There's a pause. Then a voice she hasn't heard since the wedding. Is this Alana Brooks? The man asks. Yes. Who's this? This is Detective Harris with the Fulton County Financial Crimes Unit. I'm calling about your father-in-law, Reginald Brooks. Her spine goes cold. What about him? I'm sorry to tell you this, the detective says, but Mr. Brooks passed away last night. On his desk, he left a folder with your name on it and a note instructing us to contact you. We've been trying to reach you, but your husband said you were out of state. Out of state. She's under a bridge 10 miles from the Brooks house and already being erased from the story. She swallows. What's in the folder? That's why I'm calling, he says. It concerns some irregular financial activity involving his company and some associates we've been investigating. He mentioned a USB drive that might have gone missing recently. He thought it could be used to clear some things up and protect you. She looks at the USB in her hand. Air leaves her lungs. The bag under the bridge. The USB, the dead bookkeeper who skimmed from bad men, and now her dead father-in-law who apparently knew something and tried to protect her. This isn't random. It's a knot of secrets. And she's standing right in the middle of the rope. Now, let me break this down for you, because this is where the story stops being about a woman who got thrown out and starts being about a woman who's holding the key to taking down everyone who ever looked down on her. Reggie Brooks, the only person in that family who showed her any kindness, died knowing his family was involved in something dirty. He left evidence. He left her name. He tried to protect her even after they kicked her out. And that USB drive in her hand? It connects to the same criminal network the bookkeeper was stealing from. Alana stands there, rain soaking her clothes, phone in one hand, USB in the other, $5 million at her feet. Her mind is racing. Reggie's dead. Evan doesn't know. Linda doesn't know. And somewhere in this city, there are men in expensive suits who are looking for this bag, this money, and this evidence. She could run, take the money, throw the USB in the river, disappear to another state, change her name, start over. Or she could do what the letter said. Be brave. Turn this blood money into something that matters. Expose the people who've been stealing, cheating, destroying lives while calling it business. But here's the thing about being brave when you're broke and pregnant. Brave doesn't pay the rent. Brave doesn't feed your baby. Brave doesn't keep you safe when powerful people want you gone. So, what does Alana do? Does she call the detective back? Does she keep the money and stay silent? Does she run? Or does she do something nobody, not Linda, not Evan, not even that bookkeeper, ever expected her to do? Stay close, because the next decision she makes will either save her life or destroy it. And trust me, you're not ready for how this plays out. Alana sits under that overpass for a long time. Rain pounding, cars roaring overhead. Text from the motel manager she ignores. She thinks about Linda's face at the front door, Evan's silence, Reggie's quiet kindness. She thinks about M, the invisible bookkeeper who stole from crooks and died with guilt on his chest and a plan in his head. She thinks about her baby, who deserves a life built on something better than someone else's crimes. Finally, she stands up. Her back hurts. Her hips hurt. Her heart hurts. She closes the duffel, zips it tight. Then she does the bravest, most dangerous thing a desperate person can do. She doesn't run. She calls the detective back. "Detective Harris? This is Alana again. You said you were looking for a USB drive?" "Yes, ma'am." "Did you?" I think I have it," she says. "And something else I need you to see." There's silence on the line. "Are you safe right now?" he asks. She looks at the highway, the rain, the dark. "Not really," she admits. "Text me your location," he says. "Stay where you are. I'll come to you. And Miss Brooks, whatever you're holding on to, don't talk to anyone else about it until we get there." She hangs up, sends the pin, and sits on her suitcase. For the first time in days, she feels something small and dangerous in her chest. Not fear, leverage. Now think about what just happened. A woman who was told she was nothing, who was thrown out like trash, who spent 3 days sleeping on plastic chairs and eating stale sandwiches, is now sitting on evidence that could bring down an entire network of criminals. She could have run. She could have kept the money and disappeared. But she didn't. Why? Because sometimes doing the right thing isn't about being a hero. It's about being tired of letting bad people win. What happens next doesn't fit neatly into a movie montage. But this is where justice shows up with paperwork. Detective Harris and his partner meet her under the bridge. They're cautious at first, because again, woman, cash, evidence, criminals, but they listen. She shows them the bag, the letter, the USB. They take photos, log everything. Ask 1,000 questions. "You found this by accident?" Harris asks. "I was just looking for somewhere dry to sit," she says. "God and gravity did the rest." He studies her. "Most people would have taken the money and disappeared," he says. She snorts. "With whose passport?" she says. "Y'all barely hire pregnant women at Walmart. You think I'd survive with cartel money and no plan?" "No, sir. My anxiety is too high for that." They laugh, but it's true. Over the next few weeks, long, exhausting weeks, they verify the USB contents. Connect M to a real accountant who died of a heart attack 2 months earlier. Tie the transactions to a network that, surprise, involves some of the very contracts Reggie's company was forced into. Reggie, it turns out, tried to blow the whistle shortly before he died. He'd started cooperating quietly with the investigation but got scared for his family. That's why he left a folder with Alana's name and instructions to contact her. Inside that folder, when she finally sees it, is his handwriting. "Alana, if you're reading this, it means I left this world owing you an apology. I knew what Linda was doing, how she treated you. I didn't stop it enough. I saw my son becoming a smaller man around her expectations instead of a better one around your love. You deserved better from all of us. There's more going on in this company than I can fix alone. I told the detectives to find you because you're the only one I trust to do what's right even when it hurts. Whatever leverage comes from this, I want you and that baby protected first. If there's a deal to be made, make sure your name is on the safe side of it. Signed, Reggie." Alana cries reading it. Not because words fix everything, but because someone finally saw her. For 6 years, she tried to be enough. Quiet enough. Grateful enough. Small enough. And the one person who saw her worth was the one who couldn't say it out loud until he was gone. The feds love 2 things: evidence and deals. Thanks to that USB and the money trail, they're able to unravel a ring of crooked contracts, shell companies, and dirty loans. Several powerful men go down. And that duffel bag of cash? Technically, it's evidence. But here's where the story rewards you for staying. After months of legal back and forth, asset forfeiture processes, and enough paperwork to kill a forest, they work out a settlement. Because of her cooperation, her risk, and the fact that the money wasn't stolen from private victims but from dirty funds being laundered, Alana is granted a legal share of the recovered assets as a whistleblower. Is it the full $5 million? No. This is still Earth, not a fairy tale. But it is enough. Enough to pay off her medical bills. Secure a modest but safe house in her own name. Start a nonprofit fund, in cooperation with the DA's office and a local church, for women escaping abusive family situations, both rich and poor. The rest of the money goes into restitution funds and government programs aimed at cleaning up the mess men like that left behind. And here's the beautiful part. The money that was supposed to destroy lives is now rebuilding them. The evidence that was buried is now setting people free. And the woman they called trash is now the one writing checks. Linda finds out about all this the hard way. She sees her husband's name on the news. Sees Alana's face next to a headline about whistleblowers and community grants. She shows up at Alana's new little house one day months later, holding a casserole like guilt in a Pyrex dish. Alana meets her at the door, baby on hip. Linda starts to cry. "I was wrong," she says, voice shaking. "About you. About everything. I let my fear of what people think matter more than my son's character. More than your dignity. More than that child." Alana listens. She doesn't rush to hug her. Doesn't slam the door either. When Linda finally runs out of words, Alana sighs. "I forgive you," she says. "Not for you. For me. Because I don't want that bitterness in my child's milk." She shifts the baby, who is staring at Linda like, "Ma'am, who is this?" But forgiveness doesn't mean access. Alana adds, "You don't get to rewrite the story and make yourself the concerned mother. You were loud when you threw me out. Be that loud when you tell folks why I left." Linda nods, tears falling. "Can I at least see him sometimes?" She whispers. "We'll see," Alana says. "On my terms. Not yours. Now let me ask you something. If someone treated you the way Linda treated Alana, could you forgive them? Could you stand at your own door, holding your baby, and choose peace over revenge? Could you look the person who broke you in the eye and say, 'I forgive you, but you don't get to hurt me again'?" That's the kind of strength most people never see. That's the kind of healing that doesn't make the highlight reel. But it's real, and it matters. We close this section with Alana rocking her baby in a small but safe nursery. Little crib. Hand-me-down rocking chair. Walls painted a soft color that looks like morning. She looks at her child and says quietly, "They tried to throw us away, baby. But all they really did was throw us where God could pick us up." In the end, this wasn't just a story about a bag of money under a bridge. It was about a woman who learned 3 hard truths. Family isn't always the people with your last name. Sometimes it's the dead bookkeeper who believed a stranger might do the right thing. Sometimes it's a tired detective who actually listens. Sometimes it's your mama praying over a prepaid phone. Being thrown out doesn't mean you're worthless. It just means some folks were too small to hold the size of your calling. Miracles don't always come in pretty packages. Sometimes they show up as cursed money, USB drives, and choices that scare you to your core. Alana didn't become a saint overnight. She still worries. Still double-checks the locks at night. Still has days where she hears Linda's voice in her head and has to talk back to it. But she also has a house no one can put her out of. A baby who will grow up hearing the full truth, not the edited version. A program helping women who thought they had nowhere left to go. They called her trouble. They called her ungrateful. They called her not our kind of person. Turns out, she was exactly the kind of person the world needed in that moment. So now let me ask you, what would you have done in her place? Would you have grabbed that bag and disappeared? Turned it in and walked away broke but clean? Or tried to turn dirty money into something holy? And deeper than that, do you believe it was all coincidence, just bad people, bad choices, random chance? Or do you believe some things in life are set up, quietly, so that the people everybody counted out end up holding the key to justice? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell us what part of Alana's story hit you the hardest. Have you ever been kicked out of a place, a relationship, a job, only to realize later it was actually your rescue? Because here's what I want you to take away from this. Life has a way of putting you exactly where you need to be, even when it looks like you're losing. Alana thought she lost everything. Her marriage, her home, her dignity, her safety. But what she really lost was dead weight. People who never valued her. A life that was slowly killing her spirit. A family that loved the idea of control more than they loved her. And in exchange for all that loss, she gained something they could never take away. Her voice, her power, her freedom. Think about the women in your life. Your mother, your sister, your daughter, your friend. How many of them are sitting in houses that don't feel like home? How many are married to men who treat them like furniture? How many are biting their tongues at family dinners, swallowing disrespect with mashed potatoes, pretending everything is fine because they don't think they have options? Alana's story is for them. It's for anyone who's ever been told they're not enough. Anyone who's ever been gaslit into thinking their pain is imaginary. Anyone who's been abandoned and had to figure out how to survive on their own. And here's the part that might make you uncomfortable. Evan never apologized. He never showed up. He never fought for her. He let his mother throw his pregnant wife out of the house and didn't lose a single night of sleep. Linda cried later. Sure, but only after Alana had power. Only after the news cameras showed up. Only after it became embarrassing not to apologize. That's not real remorse. That's damage control. And Alana knew the difference. She forgave them, not because they deserved it, but because she deserved peace. That's the lesson. Forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. Now, some of you might be thinking, this story sounds too good to be true. A bag of money? A USB drive? A dead father-in-law who left a note? Come on. But here's the thing. Life is stranger than fiction. People do leave money in random places. Whistleblowers do exist. Good people do die trying to do the right thing. And sometimes, just sometimes, the universe does hand you exactly what you need right when you need it, not because you're special, but because you were willing to stay standing when everyone else expected you to fall. Alana could have given up. She could have called Evan and begged him to take her back. She could have swallowed her pride, apologized for things she didn't do, and spent the rest of her life walking on eggshells in that house. A lot of women do, not because they're weak, but because survival sometimes looks like surrender. But Alana didn't, and that's why her story matters. She chose the hard road, the uncertain road, the road where you don't know if you're going to make it, but you know you can't go back. So let me ask you again, what would you have done? Would you have taken the money and run, hoping nobody ever finds out? Would you have left it there, afraid of what it might cost you? Would you have called the police immediately, trusting the system to protect you? Or would you have done what Alana did? Sat with it, prayed about it, thought about what it could mean for the baby in your belly and every other woman who's been in your shoes? There's no right answer. There's just your answer. And your answer tells you who you are. If you made it this far, thank you for staying. Thank you for listening to Alana's story. Thank you for caring about a woman you've never met who represents so many women you probably have. Drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. Tell us if this story reminded you of someone. Tell us if you've ever had a moment where you had to choose between what's easy and what's right. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Because we're going to keep telling stories like this. Stories about people who got knocked down and got back up. Stories about women who refused to stay small. Stories about justice that don't always look like courtrooms and headlines, but look like a single mother rocking her baby in a house she owns, whispering, "We made it." And if you think this story was unbelievable, wait till you hear what happened in our next tale. Subscribe for more timeless stories that will touch your heart and keep you thinking long after the video ends. This is more than entertainment. This is survival. This is hope. This is proof that the people they tried to bury didn't know you were a seed. Alana Brooks is a seed, and now she's a tree, giving shade to women who are still walking in the rain. Be blessed,